So we're going to start by creating a project in Policy Automation. I'll accept my default settings for the language and the region. And within the standard folder structure, I'm going to create a properties file. I'm going to create a Word document to hold my rules. And I'm going to create a screens file to hold the definition of my web determination. I will create a single entity called the customer. The default behavior has created one attribute, and I will add a second attribute, the customer's gender. I will create it as being an attribute of type text. I'll give it a public name. I'll also make sure that all of the other attributes and the entity also have public names so that I can use them in substitution later on. I will set the gender attribute for the identifying attribute of the customer. Now my gender attribute will be used to define the gender of each customer instance. In my demonstration rule base, I have two rules. One concerning each of the customer instances to find out if they have completed their forms, and another global goal to find out if the interview is completed because all the customers have completed their forms. I'm going to format each of the conclusions and the conditions using the toolbar, but before I compile, I'm going to check the relationship text to make sure that the relationship text matches the text I'm going to use in my for all statement. Now I can go ahead and compile. Compilation is complete, so I'm going to close the Word file. I am now going to run a debug session, and in the debug session I'm going to create an instance of the customer entity. I'm going to give them a name using the identifying attribute. You'll notice that I am also able to enter the gender. There is no drop-down list, but there are two predefined values, male and female. Now we will see in my debug session that we can see the gender-specific pronoun, his. Stopping the debug session, I'm now going to create the question screens to be able to use it in my web determination. My first question screen will be used to collect instances of the entity, the customer, and for each instance we will ask the name and the gender. For the gender question, I'm going to change the text and use freeform text so that I do not have the side effect of seeing a substitution that cannot be made. Notice at the bottom of the screen the two values have been added to a list of values already. In my second screen, I'm simply going to add a label to remind me of the name of each of the instances of the customer, and I'm going to require the user to enter a value for the question whether the customer has filled in the forms or not. Finally, I'm going to change my assessment summary screen and add the global goal, is the interview finished, to my assessment summary screen to enable me to run the web determination. In the web determination, I will proceed to use my question screen to add 2 instances of the customer entity. And for each instance, I will answer the question regarding whether they finished the paperwork. When I review the interview, we can see that the correct gender-specific pronoun has been used for Janet and for Bob.